Okay. Well, I was just gonna say, like, I don't know too much about Dojo. Like, I feel like it's a little out of my depth in terms of like being super high tech and what Tesla's doing there. That was a great breakdown, Jeff. But like, I worry from the kind of higher level perspective of, is Elon too ambitious? Like at some point with X, with Grok, with everything that Tesla's doing, the Tesla bot now, like it just seems like he's accelerating the pace at which he adds on insane new projects to his own plate. So I was kind of looking at it through that lens of like, you can't do everything and do NVIDIA. And it's like, so I'm just wondering, that's like when I think of like devil's advocate of bear cases of Tesla, like how does this Elon show end? You know what I mean? Like, can he just keep doing it for, and he could be in his prime right now. So he has 10 or 15, 20 more years of just like crushing it nonstop. But at what point does he get too ambitious? And I'm trying to think of like some like Greek myth of like there probably is one, right? Like you get too close to the sun or whatever, and then you're like too ambitious and you don't realize, I don't know. So that's just one thing I try and keep in mind with some of these projects is I'm like, Elon's always crushed it and comes through at the end. But like at some point, does it become too much? I don't know.
I mean, you're right that he has a lot of things going on, but you also have to remember we are now 140,000 employees in Tesla. It's not as he is doing that. These are groups. And there are 2 points that really make me think, because they're not intuitively what I would have done, but I understand why it happened. First is XAI. He explained in the last earnings call, so not this week, but 3 months ago, that the engineers and people he hired for XAI, such a particular profile that these young, ambitious guys and girls didn't want to get into a large structure like Tesla, which has a stock price that's moving. I mean, we feel it's moving a lot, right? But if you are in that field, you want a thing that goes 100x or 250x, right? You don't want to be stuck in a mega cap with all the Garys and their knives giving you comments on what's happening in their lives, right? So so he had to create something where these guys and girls saw the upside if they're going to put the sweat hours in it, because if not, they would go to OpenAI or they would go somewhere else. So I understand why that happened. And the second thing is there too much activity within Tesla? And I just think that is not the case. Compare it to other car makers, because fair enough, 5 years ago, it was probably for most people logical to put Tesla in it's only a car maker case. I mean, that they still put it today is inconceivable, but 5 years ago, let's do it. But if you compare where other car makers were 5 years ago and where Tesla has gone today, none of the others has made this move. I mean, there are some that are getting into a little bit of robotics or they're getting a little bit into software, but it is uncomparable to where Tesla is. So yes, he's taking on a lot, and yes, he's 52 now. I mean, come on, you all think I'm still a young chick. He's 5 years younger than me, so there is still lots to come. He's got a good way to capitalize on his health and on his faculties. So I don't think there's too much, and I think actually it's stacking up really nicely. And I don't think we should worry about the fact that XII is a separate entity for now. This will all come together, but he needed to give these people in a very crucial moment where there's high competition for this very narrow field, the option to make a lot of money, because that's what motivates people. That's just it.
Jeff, were you going to say something?
No, I was just going to draw. Sometimes it was even on CNBC this morning. There's just not a very good understanding of what he's actually already accomplished. I think when people said like, "Wait, why is Tesla pulling NVIDIA out of the vehicle? What are they doing?" He hired his own silicon design team, and he hired his own software layer one software team to write the code for that and to design the silicon. And that is an exact mirror of what NVIDIA is. People think NVIDIA makes chips. NVIDIA does not make chips. They do the silicon hardware design, they do the software design, and then they work with their customer partners, and they work with a third-party fab like a TSMC or Samsung to actually make and fabricate the chip. So Tesla has already accomplished that over the last, call it 5 years, and they're in mass production, and they've got more. Again, they're collecting more real-world data than anyone else. So you say like, when are they going to fail? I think there is a batting average to doing some of these things. But if you look at what they've already accomplished, and to Alexander's point, the team that they've built under them, he's been hiring people in his likeness for the last 15 years. And that's very meaningful. It doesn't get a lot of publicity, just the way that Tesla's structured, and they don't do a tremendous amount of visibility into that next level. But what they've actually done and already accomplished is stunning. There is no other auto manufacturer that has their own silicon design team doing their own inference computer and the software inside of the vehicle, and now attempting to do their own network infrastructure to kind of have that end-to-end loop performance. Nobody's done that, but Tesla's already done part one of that.
Yeah, I mean, just like if you ever go to one of their events, especially like whether it's Electrify Expo, depending on if they have non-sales people show up. I mean, these are some of the smartest minds. Just ask them what school they went to. It's like, oh yeah, I went to Yale, I went to Harvard, or I went to MIT. It's just, the caliber of people that they're putting around them is pretty incredible. And I think back when I think of literally about 15 months ago when he came into Twitter, he said that they even have more engineers. I forgot how many more engineers, working literally on Twitter than, the autopilot or engineers at Tesla. And it's just, it was just insane to think how saturated Twitter was. Obviously it's unfortunate to lose a job and stuff, but just seeing what Elon can accomplish with a few really strong minds, which is what he clearly did at XAI. And even what he's doing at Tesla, working with a small team that's super hardcore. I mean, that's just his mentality. He can accomplish a lot. So, his batting average is obviously pretty good right now. And I personally think that they're going to accomplish a lot of these things. It may take longer, but, I think he's got the right people around. Gally, were you going to say something?
Well, no, I think a lot of great points. And I was just kind of trying to be like devil's advocate on a high level, because I feel like as a long-term investor, it's like important to think through what are the bad scenarios and just kind of like take the other side. But I think all of you made insane points, and especially the one of like a company is just a group of people. If you're an engineer, you want to work at Tesla, and they just have the best engineering pipeline and talent of people, and have figured out a way to operate them like a startup moving, like an A+ startup moving at breakneck pace, even though they're so big. And I feel like that is a lot of the magic of why they can accomplish all that. And I thought Jeff's breakdown was great of like, that is so often with Tesla, if you just kind of take a pause and look back a few years at what it was, at whatever you're talking about, it's like, wow, like they actually did come out of nowhere and are kind of on par with NVIDIA, which was an absurd moonshot, a while ago.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. Like everyone has mentioned, if you had stepped into, I don't know, a time machine and looked back and it was like 2016 and you were looking at Tesla and looking at, okay, well now they're coming out with the Model X and they're announcing like a Model 3 and all this stuff, like, you know what I mean? You would think like, oh, okay, well that's cool. But now here we are in 2024 and it's like robots, AI, and like everything else. It's like, holy cow, man. And to still be a person who's followed the company for all these years and to still think that they're not doing anything innovative and they don't have anything to offer the world, like all these shorts, like they just don't see what we see. And it's really wild when you're a person who can see what other people don't see. And like, I mean, we all saw it early on, right? But to still not be able to see it is just kind of like putting the blinders on at this point. It's really wild.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of factors in, why people aren't seeing some of this stuff. Partially just because mainstream media just hates Elon. I mean, anytime Elon's name's mentioned, they like want to write a story or anything on that. But I thought we could close too with, thoughts on the Optimus, right? Like, I think that was probably something outside of the production potentially for the Robotaxi end of next year. His comments on the Optimus bot literally hitting next year. Gal, you seem already ready to jump on this one, so we'll throw you the mic, man.
Well, I'm just glad they didn't put Optimus in a separate startup. Like, thank the Lord for that, But also, I mean, I was actually in the car yesterday, or like driving back from skiing, and I had like this, or a couple days ago, and I was like, I feel like I'm living in this parallel reality of like Elon announced this robot And I feel like that was almost a dream. Like I had this crazy dream where Elon said Tesla was actually gonna build like a humanoid robot that was gonna like take over the world and replace the whole economy and like be even bigger than the biggest company they were already building, you know? And I'm like, that dream is actually real and moving faster than ever. And that to me, if someone who's like watched Tesla for like 12 years now, that was the biggest moment in Tesla history that I'd ever seen, was when they were like, we're going to build a humanoid robot, because it was such a change in the mission and the goal and the vision and the product roadmap. So if you're, and I even made a tweet once that I think Elon replied to, or something. It was like, when I first invested in Tesla, was like, oh, we're going to do this little electric car and it's going to be a big deal. And then you fast forward to now, like you're all saying, and it's like, we're about to do a robot that's going to take over the world. So you just extrapolate that to like, where are we at in the next 10 years? Elon's only 62. Like, it's gonna, you know, we have electric VTOL jets, we have cyber boats, we have the Tesla UFO is in R&D and about to get unveiled. Like, I don't even know the Tesla robot dogs. So like, it's just, it's hard to even wrap your head around. But that boils everything back down to my biggest concern again of like,